We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow just got picked BMZ.
Yep. Oh my God! I can't believe they did that.
This is faster than mine. Who? I didn't hear that on my end. All right, so he'll be fun to watch, man.
That's gonna be a shit show.
Man, he's gonna be fun to watch. It's gonna be a shit show, but it's still gonna be fun to watch. You know, new blood pump through there. Quarterback is fun to watch.
He's from Ohio. I mean, this was a slam dunk.
I watched a lot of Cincinnati Bengal preseason games.
You know the first two picks.
Why?
The first two picks are locks. It's Chase Young and Burrow.
I like young guys in the preseason.
That sounds pretty suspect.
The TV, right?
No, we can't hear it.
Yes, I can absolutely hear it.
No, don't worry. Mark already blared the pick on the first pick already. He's just got it fucking on volume 32 in the background.
You can hear it?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Why didn't you fucking tell me, you pieces of shit?
I'm telling you right now before the next one comes in.
Just told you.
If Schneider could stay the fuck out of Rivera's way, I think the Redskins will be a good team in a couple years.
Yeah, I believe there's been a million people that have said that.
Chase Young, what a surprise.
I mean,
Why does
That cat looks like a.
Chase Young looks like he owes somebody money in a dope deal.
He looks like the guy that showed you right there's the shit.
yeah, right. Chase Young looks like he's dealing the dope.
Yeah, no, Chase Young.
He's not. No.
T-Pain video.
What are the Giants doing? There's like 8 seconds left.
I'm watching commercials, and there's no draft on my television. This is
The pick is
killing.
in.
I'd be willing to bet you that there's a trade.
Where is this happening?
Whoa. Josh, I know who it is.
I got rent due.
Josh, I know who it is. You're going to like it, too.
Don't say
Mark.
anything.
Mark.
I won't say it. I know who it is.
How do you know who it is?
Don't worry about how I know who it
Are you
is.
looking
Mark
at
went on Twitter.
You're the worst.
That's how you know.
I'm not on. I'll just say I'm not on Twitter.
You were sending me text messages last year also. You're the worst.
It's Eli Manning? Oh, wow.
I'm not on Twitter, but I'll tell you after the pick is made why I think it's a great
I
pick.
remember last year getting text messages from you before my
The trade is Dave Gettleman is trading himself.
For who?
Please. I would
It's not a trade. You're going to like the pick, man. You're going to like the pick. I think it's a
Traded
perfect
him
pick.
for Peyton Manning.
You think so? It's Simmons.
It's Willis.
I'm just saying you're going to like the pick. I'll explain afterward.
I can't see the fucking pick already. You've had it for 3
Where,
minutes.
Derek, where's Mark on my screen? Where's Mark on my screen?
He's right above you.
Up here? Fuck you.
I forgot that Joe Judge is the head coach of the
Okay, so it's
Giants.
not a trade.
So did I. I was like, who the fuck is that guy?
Joe Judge is the
Look
head
at the
coach.
room he's in. How depressing is
We're
that
so
room?
bad.
Oh my God, they're both in like a dungeon.
I like that. I like him as a coordinator. I hate him as a head coach. I like him as an OC. He'll be all right.
No, two is
Did
gonna
they
be there,
rent an
man.
empty apartment to do this together?
That's what it looks like.
How do you have the pick?
If they take Herbert, I swear to God, I'm gonna fucking lose my goddamn mind, bro.
Who, the Giants?
No. I'm saying two is gonna be on the board. If
Yes.
they go Herbert instead of two,
Oh, Gettleman just got word he's on camera, so he put his mask on.
Serious?
yeah, what is he doing?
You're inside, bro. You don't need the mask. Okay, here we go.
What did it matter if you didn't have it on 5 seconds ago?
All right, let me know when the pick's going in so I know if I'm behind that.
Give me Simmons. How do you see this fucking pick?
Yeah, what was
Oh, I'm not
priority?
upset. I'm not that upset at all.
Best offensive tackle in the
I'm not
draft.
upset.
I told you you'd like him.
I'm
Who
not
is it? I
upset.
didn't even know.
Andrew Thomas.
Thomas, my
offensive
guy.
tackle,
My
Georgia.
God.
Do like that
He's on the
pick.
board.
Not upset.
That really
on the
upsets
board.
me because I thought he
I
was coming
love
to
that
Tampa.
guy.
Andrew
There was no
Thomas.
chance, man.
I was really worried about
He's
you.
on
Like,
the
that's
board.
worth this guy.
All right.
Oh my God, they better take Tua.
This is so.
See that shit? All right, there you go.
They got
Is
so
there
much
anybody
fun.
other than Tua that they take that you'd be
They're gonna
happy
go to
with?
break. They're gonna go to commercial break.
That's a good question. That's a good
They're
question.
not going to.
David, is there anybody other than Tua that if they took you'd be mad, but you wouldn't be too mad?
Right now, with this
Yeah.
pick,
Anybody other than Tua that you'd be upset, but you wouldn't like want to kill somebody?
with this pick,
Yes.
no.
Here's the pick.
Pick, man.
Here we go.
The
Oh
pick
my
is
God,
in.
if they go to commercial break right now. Okay.
Oh yeah, she was a
Tua!
diehard.
There you go. It's in.
Tua.
The whole Miami Twitter sphere is intact. It's going to be a fucking Twitter party all night tonight.
Yeah. They got him at 5. And they still have all their picks. That's beautiful for the Dolphins.
They didn't fuck it up.
They didn't fuck it up.
Well, we'll see in 3 years if they fuck it
Yeah,
up.
we'll see. We'll see soon if they fuck it up.
That's
I don't think there's gonna be any trades, man. This is boring shit when it comes to trades.
And we're gonna take Worfs. Francisco's.
I'll be honest with you. I fucking hate you, Derek, more than anything, but I do like what the Bucks are doing right now. I
Yeah, the
love
Bucks
this
are
fucking
fucking
mentality to go out and try to win it all. Fuck it. At the end of the day, it's so hard to win a championship. You might as well fucking
What
give it
else are
everything
you
you got.
supposed to do if you have Tom
Derek, you have back-to-back picks.
What are you
I'd
supposed to
be
do?
so excited right now.
Yeah, and
Derek, show us your pants.
there's no chance. I don't have pants on.
Derek, even better. Stand up. No, sit down.
Wait, I gotta go downstairs for a second.
The Braves, baby.
Is that white, or you just happen to see me?
Happy to seaman you. We're taking Worfs for sure, but I don't know why what the point of the trade-
One pick.
Got it again. I forgot what episode number this was, and I don't think anybody gives a shit anymore. This is draft recap episode. That's all I could say about
Yeah,
that. It is the week after one of the craziest drafts we've ever seen. Everybody was at their house for the draft, including all the NFL teams, GMs, commissioners, some weirdos behind the scenes at some people's houses. Mike Vrabel's, not to name any names. There was some guy taking a shit during the draft. I don't know if anybody caught that, but that's neither here nor there.
His daughter.
And he had some dude dressed up like the guy that runs around the ballpark in Atlanta. The
Yeah,
Flash.
The president.
Flash, right?
Yeah. No, not
Yeah.
the Braves. And
Yeah.
then one guy
Oh,
gives you a
okay.
head start, and then he chases you.
You
Yeah.
had Bill Belichick's dog doing the draft for him, so that was
Yes,
good.
that was
And
awesome.
I wonder why they've had such great draft picks over the years. And
Andy Reid was still wearing his shirt from the fucking Super Bowl.
that's what he wore to the
He had like 10 versions of that shirt he wore.
Yeah.
Andy Reid is a fucking
Yeah,
beast.
they're all
You know
different.
that.
They were all different.
That guy's great.
Gotta love the guy. Anyways, today we're gonna talk draft recap, right? So we're gonna talk about how bad the Giants and the Bucks are, how good the Dolphins did,
Yeah.
and anything in between. So without further ado, I'm drinking Single Barrel tonight.
Nice. Little gym.
Mr. Downs, Mr. Krantz, what do we got?
I got Purple Haze,
Which kind?
the drinking kind.
The drinking kind.
The
Fair
drinking
enough.
kind. Straight from Nolans. Straight from Nolans.
Islands.
I got a homemade concoction. I've been drinking tequila all day, so I kept drinking tequila.
All day.
It's tequila and club soda and a little bit of lime juice and some grenadine.
What number concoction is that in terms of different drinks you drank with that tequila today?
6.
Oh, that a boy.
I started with spicy margaritas. Now I'm here.
On a Tuesday.
That's-
Going down. Yo, Taco Tuesday is getting wild, huh?
Oh, Tuesday. Shout out LeBron.
Ah, jeez. Well, here we go. So Josh is obviously busy right now. He's watching an old Yankees game because that's the only thing he can
It's-
hold his
it's-
hat on.
It's game 7. Grady Little just came to the mound and he let Pedro stay.
Hopefully it's not game
Bad
7 of the
decision.
Red Sox Yankees ALCS.
Yes.
Yeah,
It is game 7.
He didn't take Pedro out. He still should have taken Pedro out.
No, he just went to go take Pedro out.
I'm
and
not
Pedro said,
talking
"Hey,
about
I
that
got
game
this."
7. I'm
That's
talking
game
about
The game 7 I'm watching.
which one are you watching? The one that because they played 2 game 7s, right?
Yeah, but that other, we don't talk about that other game 7.
That's the one I was talking about.
That's not the one I'm talking
I'm talking about Johnny
2003.
Damon.
No,
Johnny
I'm talking
Damon
about, dude, you
bomb.
think the Johnny Damon was better than Aaron Boone?
Yeah, because the Red Sox
No,
won.
Aaron Boone was a walk-off home run
Don't
in the
matter.
11th.
That was the first time
matters.
ever that
No,
a team
that
came
was
back
the
from down
greatest-
3-0.
Either one of them was
Ever.
the best.
Dude, you're the only two people that remember Johnny
Forever.
Damon hit a fucking home run. And it was the first fucking inning that he hit that home run.
He had 3 bombs in a row.
That was
Bomb diggity,
Hideki
bomb
Matsui.
diggity,
You know
bomb
what's
diggity.
better than both of those?
He was
Altuve.
bat flipping the shit out of it.
That
Did
Altuve
not.
home
Johnny
run.
Damon's never bat flipped in his life.
I know, but it'd be so cool if he did.
It would have been. So
It
let's
would
talk
be
about
really cool.
what happened instead of would have been.
Did you guys see that on
Posada's
Twitter?
about to knock in 2 runs to tie the game.
Did you see on Twitter the girl that used to play for Oklahoma State? I want to
Oh my
say, and
gosh,
her
she home
boyfriend
run off her husband.
plays
Oh, yeah.
professional ball in the minor league system, and they were bat flipping the shit out of each other.
Yes.
She
That was
she
great.
she hit that thing and dropped to a knee and just said, "Yeah!" through the
Oh,
bat.
man. He threw the bat like 30 miles.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
he pimped it, but that's what you're supposed to do against.
That was some Jose Batista type shit.
But when she does it back to you, it's like,
Oh,
nah,
she
man.
slammed that shit. And it was like, fuck you, man.
She stayed down on one knee and hit that thing
I
over
think-
the house and was like, "Yeah, see ya."
I think it was staged because he was like throwing like a little baby wiffle ball. Like, come on, man. If he's in the big leagues, he's not throwing the ball 20 miles an hour.
That thing had a little break.
Paige was trying to work inside.
I feel
Oh,
like.
Jesus Christ. Let's talk football, all right? We just saw a crazy ass draft, and we got Pedro Martinez. Oh, he was so filthy nasty back in the day.
Not after the 8th inning in this game.
What are you going to do? All right, so draft. Who had the best draft? Besides your own teams, you sons of bitches.
My team did not have the best draft. My team's like middle of the road.
Fair enough.
I really like what Baltimore did,
I
Okay.
Baltimore every year.
and I really like what Minnesota did.
Okay.
Those,
I can-
those are the two teams, and that's what I was talking about last week. We haven't even aired that part of it, but where what teams had just a little bit more to do to win the Super Bowl, and how they could do
Right.
it in this draft. And I think both of those teams put themselves in a position to compete for a Super Bowl with this.
I
Okay.
think a team, yeah. I think Buffalo did just as good as Baltimore. Those
Yeah.
teams are built the same.
Well, Buffalo, in theory, used its first round pick on Stephon Diggs.
Right.
Yeah.
Proven top 10, top 12 receiver with, game-changing ability. Then they went out and got, who'd they get, AJ
Espinoza. I
from
think
Iowa?
they only took two defensive players in the draft. They went all offense.
Yeah, makes sense.
And
And their defense is loaded, though. They just re-signed, or they just picked up the option on Tre'Davious White's fifth-year option. They had linebacker; they're pretty solid. With what's his
I
name?
love this. I
Virginia
love
Tech.
Zach Moss pick, man. I'm mad
Yeah.
at the Bucks fan about that we took Keyshawn Vaughn instead of him, but
No, Zach
Zach
Moss to go
Moss-
behind the other running back they got. That's
I think Zach Moss by the middle of the season is leading the team in carries.
Well, see, the thing about Zach Moss is the casual fan didn't really get to see him play. So he's
Yeah.
out in Utah playing at 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
Utah's had a good team this year, but at the end of the day, they weren't nationally televised that often, and a lot of
Yeah.
people kind of saw,
I-
Utah, we're not even going to give them any credit.
I remember if we go back to the podcast, we were talking about the bowl games and all that national championship picture, and I brought up, oh wait, Posada hit that double, and I brought up Utah having a chance if they kept winning with what was it, Oregon.
Yeah.
You guys, no matter who wins those two games, none of those teams are going to be in the playoffs. But Zach Moss had that Utah team rolling with that defense.
Yeah, Zach Moss is a legit player.
Yeah.
I wonder if it could be one of two things. It could be Buffalo wants to go with more of a committee approach, which they kind of used last year with Gore.
Well,
and
they lost
Singletary.
Gore.
Well,
They
yeah.
lost Gore,
Yeah.
so they got to get a replacement for him. And they got
This is an
a good
upgrade.
replacement.
This is an upgrade.
But
Yeah.
or is it they don't believe in Singletary long term and
Well,
this
yeah,
is
he-
it?
Singletary.
Doesn't matter. You need two.
Singletary
You
didn't.
need two.
He didn't carry the load as a starter. He's not. He didn't look like that guy.
I don't know that he ever was that guy even in college.
Well,
No.
I mean,
But there's only like a handful of those dudes that like you just give them the ball like 25 times
he was,
a game.
he
and
was
they'll be fine.
FAU's big play guy. He
I mean,
touched the ball a lot, but he was the guy that broke 70-yard touchdowns for them.
Right. Well, when you're talking about a guy that's what 5'8", 195,
Yeah, I mean, he's lightning.
not a
If
huge
he
guy.
gets through the line, he's lightning. You're trouble taking him
Right.
down in the open field. But Moss can run between the tackles and get you 4 yards every time he touches the ball.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah.
some of the
Okay.
controversial stuff that happened. What do you think about the Packers and what they did with the 26th pick?
I thought they did a lot of good stuff for their new quarterback Jordan Love, but not really for their now quarterback Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, that's kind of wild, no?
The last time they took a skilled player was when they drafted Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
I'm
in the
still
first
trying
round.
to figure out what they.
In the first round.
You
I
know
was,
why this is-
I was reading an article today that says that Houston is pretty surely going to cut Kenny Stills and that's where he's going to go.
Houston's going to cut Kenny?
Yeah, because they drafted and they got through. They picked up Brandon Cooks in a trade. They have signed Randall Cobb,
And they have Will Fuller.
and they have Will Fuller already. Where do you fit in there? If you're
I forgot they got Cooks. I forgot they got
Yeah,
Cooks.
so I mean, Green Bay would be a logical spot for them to get a number 2 receiver, which is what Kenny Stills is.
They need somebody.
Yeah.
Devontae had, 40-plus receptions more than the guy next to him?
I mean, he's
That's-
getting double teamed and he's still making plays. That guy's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
And they drafted another run. They drafted their first 2 picks were a backup quarterback and a backup running back.
Right. Which the running back thing I'm okay with because the durability thing in the NFL you never know, and I'm okay with you carrying 2.
I love A.J. Dillon.
I don't
love
understand.
something
I
like
don't understand the Jordan Love pick at all, especially when you just signed Aaron Rodgers 5 years, $134 million. What do you mean? What do
I
you,
knew they were going to do it, though. It just so much was riding around that pick that they were going to do that.
We talked about it live, and all of you were like, "They just did this with Favre. This is exactly."
They did it with Favre. Same age. Same age that Favre
Well,
was.
no. We said they did it with Favre, but Favre's situation was a lot
Oh,
different.
no, I called that
That's
shit
what I
before it
mean.
happened.
I'm more perplexed by them doing it now to Aaron Rodgers, who I still think is in his prime. I still think he's in his
Absolutely.
prime.
Well, and also you remember Favre was talking about retiring even
Right.
before the draft came up. So Nate Burleson made a good point this morning. He's like, I don't care if Brett Favre was talking about it and Aaron Rodgers is not. Aaron Rodgers has been hurt a couple times the last couple of years. He's 35 years old. At the end of the day, if the Packers see that he's only going to be on the team for another 3 or 4 years at most, it made sense for them to get a guy that could sit there for 3 years, learn behind Rodgers. Then they get rid of Rodgers.
Yeah, but they're thinking it way too far ahead. They
Are
just
they?
made it to the NFC Championship game last year. Like, that should be built on from there.
Right.
Like, they should – how they even made that championship game with the level of skill and that's it. But Aaron Jones went off last year. And Aaron did what he needed. That defense was the best they played
You
in
could have
5 or 6 years.
You could have added an Ayuk, a fucking
A wide receiver –
Higgins, any of those
the
guys.
kid from
right after that.
the kid from SMU went in the 6th or 7th round.
Roach.
Right, Crochet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's
Yeah,
good.
I
You
like
can't have
Crochet.
that kid?
I'm just.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the pick for the reasons that if you're going to get rid of Aaron Rodgers even in a year or 2, because let's face it, he was already disgruntled. He's made qualms about the fact that he's not happy in Green Bay, and
He's been unhappy for like 5 or 6 years.
everyone assumed it was fine once they started winning with Matt LaFleur, and their record was good this year, right? And they still San Francisco dusted them twice.
Well, that D-line that San Francisco has,
Right, because
that's,
Green
you
Bay
can't.
can't block. So what's the first
No.
thing you would have done as a GM is address protecting Aaron Rodgers, right?
I would have given him some weapons. I
Something.
think like, they got some offensive linemen in the draft last week, but they need weapons to help Devontae.
Right.
Because Devontae just needs help.
You're basically saying, I don't know how long you're going to do this, so let's just, instead of helping you now, we're going to think long-term about the team because we're not worried about winning right now.
It's weird to do that the year after you make the NFC Championship game.
And you just paid him all the money in the world. He's the
Oh,
second
yeah, he's got.
quarterback in the league, I think.
Yeah, he just signed the contract last offseason.
Right.
Yeah.
He's got 4 more years left on that deal.
If he plays out, if
What
he
the
plays
fuck
out,
was this
like,
crap?
Technically, they could get rid of him after 3
Yeah,
years.
if
I was
he
looking
plays
at his
3
contract.
years, and they can get rid of him after 3, and they're still going to owe him 24 under guaranteed money.
The other thing, though, is they could play it out for 2 more years, and if they see something
Love.
in Jordan Love
Trade
and
him.
they feel like he's the future, and the Packers aren't necessarily, going to that Super Bowl or NFC Championship game, then they could trade Rodgers and probably get a decent amount for him in return.
Yeah,
Trade Rodgers.
I think you're
At
right.
37 years old, it might not be the worst idea in the world.
It's
Something with that.
that's just crazy in my mind.
I know it
It's
is,
just crazy
but
in
at
my
the end of the day, if you can get a first and a second rounder for
You're
a
not
guy
going to get a
that-
first and second round pick for Rodgers.
if the guy throws
Now, if you're trading him because he's getting older.
no, you're trading it because the Packers aren't going anywhere, and you have a guy sitting on the bench that's going to fucking.
Yeah, but people
be
are
your
going to
super-
leverage that into him getting older.
They
No one's
may,
going to
but
give
you're
up a
still
first and
talking
second.
about Tom Brady 3 years ago. Would he have got a first and second rounder for him? Yeah,
For sure.
yeah,
No.
100%. You're lying. You just
What
come
did
up
what
with
did
a Super Bowl.
what's his name get from Garoppolo? What did Garoppolo get?
Garoppolo? I don't know, but Garoppolo to compare Garoppolo to Aaron
I'm not
Rodgers
comparing
and Tom
Garoppolo.
Brady
I'm
is
asking what he
stupid.
got.
With the trade for Garoppolo, I'll tell you what the trade for Garoppolo. I think it was a first rounder and a fourth rounder. I'll tell you right now, Jimmy
Either-
Garoppolo
Either
trade.
way, I was trying to figure out what Rodgers, where he would go in the next year. Or
It was
two.
a second round pick. Sorry,
Second round pick.
Yeah.
second round pick for a guy that never played
He played 4 games.
4 games, or Aaron
Won all
Rodgers,
4 of them.
who is going to go down as one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. And
Agreed.
at
But what is he,
37
39 next year?
No, he's
35
35 right now, isn't he?
35 next year?
So he'll be 37 in 2 years. And you're telling me that a 37-year-old Rodgers, assuming he doesn't fall off in the next 2 years, is
I'm
not
not
worth
giving up
at
a
least
first
a
and second
first and a
for him.
fourth? You're crazy.
I'm not
For
giving
a
up a
first.
first and second for him.
I
No,
would give
you
up a
get-
first and second for
You
him.
get a first.
I'm
You
not
get
giving up a first and a
and
second.
Think about the team that's just a quarterback away.
Tennessee.
Yeah, but are you
We
going
don't
to
know
give
what
up
that team's going to
the
be.
first 2 rounds of the
Right.
draft
Who cares?
to try to win a Super Bowl?
Yeah. It's hard to win
I-
a Super Bowl. It's extremely hard to win a Super Bowl.
I understand it's harder,
The
but
Bucks
there's
just
better
did it.
ways.
Yeah.
Better ways to build your team.
Look at if
There
you're-
are, but why not go after it? The Bucks did it, and I was thinking about it. I don't blame them. What?
The
So they
Bucks
could
did
be
it by
mediocre?
trading for a coach.
No, the Bucks didn't have to trade away the picks. I agree, but the Bucks went after it by instead of going after a young quarterback or maybe signing a younger quarterback, which they could have. They said, "Fuck
Oh,
it, we're going after Tom
And I'll
Brady.
be
We're
honest
gonna
with you,
win now."
if you think Tony Dungy can't win a Super Bowl with that team, then that's
No. He's talking about what
I'm talking
we're
about right
doing
now. I'm talking about right now. I'm not talking about
Oh,
2001.
Oh, they
I'm
traded.
talking about right now.
Yeah, he's saying just
What
grab-
trade did they make? Oh,
They didn't make a trade, but I'm
Oh,
saying they
okay.
went after Tom Brady at 40,
yeah.
who they know only has 2 years
They didn't have to
left.
give up anything. They paid him whatever he wanted to
They
put
gave
in.
up the
They
guy
do-
who led the league in passing. For
And
In
the-
2
also
years-
interceptions.
In
That's
2 years,
okay.
they're going to have to tear down this entire team.
I mean,
It's gonna
everyone.
be a
I
complete
understand
rebuild.
Jameis has an opportunity to do good things in this league, but he's known for throwing
No,
way
I'm
too
not
many
saying they
interceptions.
should.
No,
have
no,
I'm answering
fine.
Derek. That was
I'm not
I'm
saying
just saying that they took
sign
a
James.
chance by taking a 42-year-old quarterback no matter what.
I think that's what their objective was. Now, if it's going to work for them, I have no idea.
But if it,
I'm not sitting here going they're going to Super Bowl.
If it
I
doesn't,
still think the Saints are much
if it
better.
doesn't, you have to blow it all up.
That my point is, no matter what, you're blowing this up in 2 years.
Yeah.
So they took a chance.
What, the Bucks?
Yeah, 100%.
No,
They'll
their
have to
skill
give it to
players
Mike
are
Evans.
their skill players are still young.
Yeah, but who's our
They're
quarterback?
not going to have the
No one-
money.
But you can draft a quarterback. You can go get it.
Where at 31?
A solid
They're
quarterback off
28
the
when they're
fucking free agency
dominating.
line.
Yeah.
The
When,
Bucks are going to be a playoff team for the next 2 years. So where are they going to get a quarterback at 26? Think
I've
about
seen
it.
quarterbacks go in the second and third, fourth round.
I
Yeah,
understand,
but
but they're not guys you plug and play usually.
yeah.
I'm just saying.
For every Russell
that
Wilson,
happens.
there's fucking 20 other guys you never even heard of.
Yeah, one's named Tom Brady.
Yeah, and it took him
That's
a
an
year and a half to
anomaly.
play.
That was an
It took
anomaly.
the first game he got in there.
But a year and a half later.
Still,
So, I mean, and come on. We're talking about 2 one-offs
Right.
in Brady and Wilson. That doesn't happen. I'm not saying you can't get a guy later in the draft and develop him, but it doesn't happen that often.
Wilson was a.
And now
you can get a starter.
Yeah.
You get a
You
starter.
you can get a middle-of-the-road starter. Yes, I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Last time the Bucks won the Super Bowl, who was their quarterback?
Brad Johnson.
Last time the Bucks won the Super Bowl, has there ever been a defense better than that?
Probably.
Yes, the Ravens.
I don't.
It's a debate, a good debate to have.
4 Hall
All
of
right.
Famers. 4 Hall of Famers on one defense.
2000 Ravens. 2000 Ravens.
Yeah, 2000 Ravens, 2001 Bucks. Those are 2 of the best defenses of all
So
time.
you got two Hall of Famers versus 4 Hall of Famers.
You think there's just 2 Hall of Famers on that team? I thought Rod Woodson was on that team.
Yeah, but Rod Woodson playing on it. in the
Still,
championship
Rod Woodson was on that team.
career.
He was a starter on that team.
I mean, you had prime Sapp, you had prime Brooks, you had prime
Lynch,
Barber,
got
you had Prime
Prime
Lynch.
Ray Lewis, the greatest linebacker of all time.
Yeah, but Derek Brooks wasn't far behind.
He's a little far behind.
I don't know about that. Go look at
Ray
Derek
Lewis
Brooks'
is the greatest
numbers.
linebacker of all time.
Go look at Derek Brooks' numbers. They went to
I'm not looking at numbers.
All-Pro teams.
I've watched both of them play.
Warren
Derek
Sapp-
Brooks is a
Warren
phenomenal
Sapp.
Hall of Fame linebacker.
What
Ray
about
Lewis is better.
What about Warren Sapp?
Warren Sapp is phenomenal, one of the greatest defensive tackles of all time. He's above Saragusa.
Yeah, well, Saragusa was also a little bit older in that time.
Man-to-man cover corner.
That wasn't
Barber
Saragusa in
was
his
the
prime.
best ever.
Rondé Barber was awesome. The best ever?
I said he's one of the 10 best cover corners man-to-man ever in football, for sure.
See, I mean, the guy's one of the only guys ever to go 2020.
Yeah,
I think there's one. I think Ed Reed's the only other guy to do it.
yeah.
Who wasn't on that
He
team?
wasn't on that team.
It was on the next team in 2009
Yeah,
or 2010, whatever year that was, whenever the lights went out.
that was 2010.
Was
No,
it
was it
2000?
9? I think it was 9.
It was either 9 or 10. I forget.
Yeah.
In 10, they had 3 Hall of Famers on that team.
My point I'm trying to make
Yeah,
is,
Pete
yes,
Dubs,
you would give
yeah,
up
I could put him
a
in
first
there.
and second, but if you have a good enough team where you have all the pieces around and all you need is that quarterback to get you over the hump, you're probably picking between 15 and 25 anyways.
Right.
You're not talking about a top 5 pick. So to give up a first and a second to get that quarterback, even if it's for 2 or 3 years to give you a shot to win, to me, if it's a legit shot, I go after it, man. You can't. The Dolphins haven't been in the Super Bowl in 30 years,
Tennessee would have given up
35
all their-
years.
Tennessee
Yeah,
would
but
give
that's-
all their picks.
The Green Bay Packers have.
The
Tennessee.
Green Bay Packers haven't been to the Super Bowl since 2011. It's been a long time.
More than very more recently than the Dolphins.
Okay, but
The
think about
mentality is a lot different.
it. They've
The
had Aaron
mentality is a lot
Rodgers.
different.
You think? Let me ask you a question. After the Packers won the 2011 Super Bowl, did you think they would never make another Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers?
No, I did not.
Okay, well that's what happened.
Well, that's not our faults for thinking that. That's the
I'm
management's
just-
faults for not building that team better.
Just saying, it's hard to
Yeah,
win
but they're all-
championships.
And which
That's
they
my point.
showed again last weekend.
They're always there. They're always there, and it's because of Aaron Rodgers that they're always
Absolutely. Absolutely. But the reason they were there last year was because of that defense.
Yeah.
Another.
They would not have made it past week 10 without that defense.
Yeah. I mean, their running game was really good, too.
It was really good, but that defense was the
What
reason they were
about
winning
that
games.
49ers team with Colin Kaepernick? That was a really good team. Went to the NFC Championship game, lost because they can't fucking field the punt to the Giants. Then the next year they go to the Super Bowl, are winning, and all of a sudden the crazy fucking lights go out in the middle of the game. They lose that. Did anyone think that team would fall apart in 3 years and never even come close to getting back?
Well, that was
With all that
a lot
talent?
of outside circumstances that did that to them.
Just saying, there's always circumstances. That's why if you have a chance to go,
Yeah,
for
but that
it,
wasn't
it's not
on the
like
field
basketball.
circumstances. That
not
was,
like
that was
baseball.
off the field
You're just saying
circumstances.
you gotta go. if you
I'm
got
saying
one
in
go,
NFL
fine,
you have to
go
go for it. There's no bullshit.
Yeah, I'm
Even
just
if
saying
it's
that
1
wasn't
year.
the management that fucked that up. That was like, hey, we built this team wrong.
Well, now they're on a different management team in Green Bay, so now
Oh,
what's
yeah.
the excuse?
Well, so far,
They just made a
doesn't
terrible.
look good.
No, it looks like they're saying Aaron Rodgers wasn't our guy to start with. So we're.
I just don't see how you go from the conference championship game, having a 13-3 record, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, let's wait for 4 years from now.
So we
Like
all.
you still have Aaron Rodgers on your team. You still have Devontae Adams on
we
your team.
all
You still have
agree
Aaron
that-
Jones on
We
there.
all agree it's a terrible pick, or no, we don't all agree with that.
Well, I don't understand
agree
the
it's a
pick because of
terrible pick.
how they went after that. They still never took a wide receiver in that draft. So
Right.
Jordan Love at number 1, I could see that if they still got skill players to help Rodgers for this year. But
Well,
they
the
didn't.
problem is, but they gave up a 4th rounder just to get Jordan.
They traded
Love.
up to get Jordan Love.
Right.
So they gave us a 4th rounder. So
Like, what?
you know,
What are you
Which
doing?
is, which is saying you're not going to have extreme patience with Aaron Rodgers, and if 2 years from now you're still not sniffing the NFC Championship game because everyone else is getting better around you,
That's their fault. That's not Aaron Rodgers' fault.
right. But they're going to look at dumping it on Aaron Rodgers at that point because.
But
they-
we're all going to look to this draft and be like, that's your fault.
That's what all I'm saying altogether is I was trying to figure out what teams would need Aaron Rodgers this year that were drafting and would be willing
Almost 2018.
would be willing.
no, I wouldn't
I
go
mean,
that far, but it's
I would
pretty
mean who would be willing away to trade away their picks to take Aaron Rodgers now. Think about I'm not saying right now the season that just played out.
What you have to look at managements that would
No,
have that
right
attitude
now,
where places go for it.
The
You
20.
know who would be the perfect landing spot for him? Perfect landing spot for him.
Chicago.
No, I think Buffalo's in better position.
Yeah, like who's going to be bad this year?
I think Buffalo's got a better offense.
Both those teams are going to be good though.
That's the
Buffalo's going to be good without Aaron Rodgers.
So list the bad teams
Agreed.
in this coming up season that Aaron Rodgers
Giants.
go to and they'd be good.
Giants.
So if
But I think you have to go to an average team that could be great.
like Tennessee,
Giants. Tennessee, absolutely. But
You
Tennessee
can't, though.
made it to the
Doesn't matter. You
championship game
can't.
last
You
year.
just signed Tannehill to a $100 million deal.
No, I
Come
know-
on, it's not
I know
happening.
you-
No,
Yeah,
he's not.
yeah,
He's
that's
minus
you
what's
do.
going on with their quarterback.
You have to look at what's going on.
Yeah, but that's not the question that he's portraying. He's like saying what okay team could use an Aaron Rodgers and then become great. But
Okay,
we're
how
not
about-
literally thinking of a team that's going to make this trade.
Well, what about
No,
a
there's
team that
no-
could use Aaron Rodgers that could actually trade for him, so it's more realistic?
yeah. Well, there's not enough.
Josh
teams-
Allen's on a rookie deal.
That's the thing. There's not
Not
enough.
trading.
teams that are-
They still believe in Josh Allen.
There's
That's
not
fine, but you could keep him on the fucking roster.
That's you're not helping his development at that point.
It's,
The first team that comes to mind would be like the Rams. If the Rams got Aaron Rodgers instead of Jared Goff, the Rams would be a legitimate contender.
problem is they're still in the hole with Goff, so they wouldn't be able to do it.
Right, but you'd have to figure out how to do that.
I mean, let's say Aaron Rodgers is on the trade block right now. Who can go get him?
I thought that the contract situation with Goff is very
took a pay
favorable
cut.
for the Rams.
He took a pay cut.
Yeah, but I
He's still
think
making
they
$20
can.
million.
Guaranteed money.
The dead money is not that much for them. if
Yeah, they
release
paid them
him
the
today.
guaranteed money already, almost all of it.
Yeah.
So,
Like if they
But
release
it
him
doesn't
today, they'll be
matter.
fine.
It doesn't matter because if a decent amount of that guaranteed money was a signing bonus, which is split up over the life of the contract.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like they were talking about this before we were in quarantine. But if the Rams decided to cut Goff and go after Tom Brady, they could have,
right.
and it would not have been a problem for their salary cap.
I'm not sure which golf contract you're looking at, but dead money, $78 million if they cut him this year. So you must be looking at a different contract.
That's
2022
Going
is the
based on
next
what I
time that
heard
they
on
can
TV.
cut him. 2022, they would cut him and save $20 million and have $10 million of dead cap. But for the next
just-
2 years, they have $78 million of dead cap and $42 million
Understand.
of dead cap.
There was a conversation that was on TV.
Well, stop fucking
This
watching
is not
the
me at the top of
box.
my head saying.
Stop watching the box. There it is.
Watch Jacoby Ellsbury or whoever the fuck that is.
He wasn't on the team at that point.
I know. I said.
So we all agree that was stupid by the Packers. Look, I think the Packers window is wide open, man. I understand that the Saints are good. I understand that the 49ers are good. But if they would have put some more pieces around Aaron Rodgers, I think the Packers could be just as good.
Add us too. Fuck you. Don't care what you say. We're in the conversation.
I'm not sure if Josh realizes or not that we can't hear him or if he's doing it on purpose.
I need to see it to believe it.
We're sitting at the table.
But
Me. He's saying we're not good yet till he's.
I mean, look, I'd be
You
shocked.
still don't hear me?
I hear you.
I hear you now.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if the Bucks aren't in the divisional round of the playoffs.
Yeah, I would too.
I wouldn't.
I think they're that good of a team. They
I
have.
think on paper they're great.
I mean, Jameis Winston threw 30 interceptions last year and they won 8 games.
They didn't make the playoff.
All right, but this year all you got to do is win 9 games to make the playoffs. 7 teams.
It's a brand new season.
They
My
basically kept
devil
their whole
advocate game is
defense.
strong tonight.
Their middle linebacker was a rookie last year, who's probably going to be their best defensive player.
You're right. He's transforming into a Pro Bowler right away.
He is
really good towards the
He's
end. Of
not. There's a lot of linebackers that are good that are young.
All they did was upgraded offensive line, upgraded quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you. They upgraded at tight end, or they at least got additional tight end.
They upgraded.
Fireworks.
They upgraded at safety.
And I'm
They're
sorry,
still not better than the Saints.
people are sleeping on Tyler Johnson, man. He's gonna be a difference maker as that third receiver. You watch.
Okay.
Yeah,
He was ridiculous at Minnesota.
Okay.
he dropped a lot of passes, but that's okay.
That's not a good thing. That's not a
He
good
still
thing.
produced a lot of fucking. He still produced a lot.
The guy's like the all-time leading receiver at Minnesota.
Wow.
It's a big thing.
Oh my God.
Remember, Minnesota won national championships back in the day,
The-
1942 or something like that.
Josh and
Giants
I,
drafted half our draft is the Minnesota Gophers.
So is ours. We got 2 also. I realized after we both got 2.
After you said that shit to me.
Yeah, I called it the New York Gopher Giants. And
You got Winfield, who I loved,
yeah.
and then you got. I can't hear what you're saying, Josh.
Kinney.
You did.
Yeah, you took my McKinney, which is fine, but I'm happy with Winfield. I'll deal.
And then who else did you get from Minnesota, Josh? Who'd you get from Minnesota?
Linebacker late in the draft.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's
That's
what's
tough.
his name up there coaching them boys up, rowing the boat.
Row the boat.
Row the boat.
Thank God he didn't.
To be honest, if the Florida State hired him, I'd be more worried about the guy you have now.
I think you're gonna take that comment back in 2 years.
No
I think
chance.
so too.
Yeah, you will.
Nope.
By the way, 8 of Norvell and/or his assistant coaches guys got drafted, and 1 guy got drafted.
You want to talk about Dan Mullen?
What? We already talked about him. Fix. I can't hear you. I can't hear you,
It's a lot more guys were.
bro. Your audio keeps going in and out, man.
You hear me?
Yeah,
Now
now
I can.
Okay. A lot more people were drafted from Dan Mullen coach teams than Norvell coach.
What?
Oh, you heard me, motherfucker.
Dan Mullen coached 1 team.
Mullen coached 2 teams.
When did he coach another team?
Mississippi State.
He was the head coach of Mississippi State for 10 years.
Mississippi
Right,
State.
but he's been at Florida for 2
What's that?
years.
Yeah.
You said Mississippi State.
Okay.
He was the head coach of Minnesota State.
Did he coach those guys for the last 2 years? No.
Yes.
No, he
He
didn't. Not
recruited
at,
them.
not at
He
Mississippi
recruited
State.
them.
Okay, so then
recruited them.
fine. The guys at Florida, he didn't recruit, so those don't count.
He
Which one
coached
you
them.
want? You can't have both.
Same
You
thing
can't
when
have
he
your cake
coached
and
them.
eat it too. So Josh
Coached them.
is saying if you got coached by him, even though you didn't get recruited
I'm sorry.
by him, it's
If
okay.
you recruit
But if you
kids,
got
coach
recruited
them
by
for 2
him and you didn't
years,
get coached by him,
then go to
it's okay.
Florida, coach them for 2 years. It's the same amount of time.
Mm.
Okay, but he hasn't coached the other guys in 2 years.
He gets to
He's
have
coached the guys that were drafted this year from Florida
for
for 2 years.
What about
Coached the guys in Mississippi State for 2 years.
How do you know? Most of those guys in Mississippi State were
They're all
30-year
seniors.
guys.
They're all seniors.
No, you want to bet on it?
I don't bet.
Because you ain't right.
No, I just don't gamble.
And I bet you some of those guys probably didn't even play their freshman year. So what the
Nope.
fuck did he do with those guys? Get the fuck
He
out.
developed them.
So
My statement was coaches that literally coached those
Develop
guys this past year.
Oh, yeah. Norvell, coach of the year. You're right. Let's move on.
I actually said Norvell and his assistants.
No, he's awesome. He's the greatest.
So I said,
Thank
you.
so
I
I said
appreciate that.
Baltimore and
Yeah, it's
Minnesota
awesome.
had good drafts. Who do you
Sorry.
guys think had good drafts?
I think the University of Memphis had a great draft.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Awesome draft. The University of
That's
Memphis
what
is
I'm
top
talking
notch.
about.
And all those Florida State guys, they met
Okay.
Norvell for 10 minutes. They're on his list also.
Only one of them went.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, fell for the trap of that motherfucker.
Hey, you're talking shit, but you still suck.
Yeah, but you guys are just
I know, but at the end of the day, if you're not first,
no.
you're not.
I said you guys are terrible. You're like, I know. That's it.
That's it.
That's like that movie with Vince Vaughn. Wait. So you've never been bit by a shark? Just say that. Say that again.
Yeah,
Never
say it
been bit by
again.
a shark.
Say it again.
That's it.
Conversation over.
Conversation. I know my truth.
That's couples.
I know
of
my
three.
Josh is gonna be so
I'm
mad
part
in
of
2
the
years.
small group of shark attack victims.
We even have a Facebook group.
he's like, honey,
Small
I
group.
think. Yeah, he's like, honey, I think the idea of it scared you more than the actual bite did. He goes, oh, you do.
I've had a rough day. I was bit by a freaking shark like a girl the other day.
All right, Derek, you want to know who I thought had a good draft?
I was asking Josh more, but I'll ask you. That's fine.
Josh, who do you think, brother?
That had a good draft.
Yeah, what team?
Yeah, I said Baltimore and Minnesota were my two.
I like what the Colts did.
Okay.
Okay.
I like what Buffalo did. And
Those are-
to be honest with you, I'm infatuated with what Denver did.
I was gonna say Denver's probably my first pick. As
Denver just said, you know what? Let's just fucking go for points. Let's score as
Fuck it.
many as possible.
they got
got
that tight end out of
receivers for
Missouri
two
too that
picks.
no one's talking about. That was gonna be a first rounder last year. To
Yeah.
pair
Yeah,
him
yeah,
with
the
Font,
guy
Jerry
we were
Judy
talking
to
about
go with
for
Portland
Missouri.
Sutton.
Yeah.
KJ Hamler to be their fucking slot guy. I love that draft.
They got a tight end, 3 receivers, a
They got
center.
the kid from LSU, the center, Lloyd Cushenberry, who
Yeah,
was a
Cushion.
highly guarded
God,
guy.
I wanted him.
Yeah.
bad.
They got Tyree Cleveland from Florida.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't want to bring him
Went to
up.
Florida,
I want
so
to
he
bring him
probably
up.
won't make the team.
But that kid can jump. He's tall as shit and he's fast.
That's just stereotypical shit right there, Josh.
No, that is not. I said nothing about his race.
Quick twitch muscle. Is that what you said?
Quick
Yeah, he's a
twitch.
white guy. He's athletic for his race.
He's very athletic.
Very athletic for being a white guy.
Goddamn white guys.
I like those. It's funny, we were all talking about the Colts too, and I was surprised that they went with Eason instead of Fromm, but
To
I'm
me,
not.
the
Fromm is
teams-
garbage.
I know
Fromm
you
is
think, I
garbage.
know you think that. I know.
I know that.
The teams that I like the most instant impact wise, I think, are Denver, and I really liked what Arizona did as well.
Yeah,
I think Isaiah Simmons is a plug and play
Simmons
guy.
just dropped in their lap.
Josh Jones dropped into their lap, talked about being a first rounder, went in the 3rd round. That D tackle from
Fotu.
Utah,
no, the kid,
Fotu.
the
And
kid,
they got
the
Rashard
kid from
Lawrence.
LSU, Lawrence, was really good
Yeah.
for them too.
Yeah.
That was
And
the
then they
4th
also
round.
got Eno
Both those
Benjamin
picks
in the 7th round.
Yeah, and they got Eno Benjamin.
I
late.
told you, man, there was going to be running backs to be had in all throughout
Yeah.
the draft.
Yeah, I think
Zach Moss went in the 4th round.
Right.
So, I mean, look,
Receivers, there was an impact receiver taken in every round, in my opinion.
yeah.
In every round, there was an impact receiver.
Here's the thing. It's tough to really grade these guys. I put something on Facebook the other day. It was the 2017 draft grades. It was kind
What's
of
Facebook?
comical.
Yeah,
there's
I was
a
laughing at
book,
that, too.
everybody puts their face. You say mean stuff to other people on it. It's like Twitter.
It's- my Facebook is all political. I can't even go in there. I just wish people happy birthday, and that's it.
I feel you. Like for instance, I'm reading this thing where they gave the Rams a draft grade of a C. They took Cam Akers in the 2nd round at the 52nd pick, and they took Van Jefferson at the 57th pick. I think both those guys are extremely underrated.
Oh, Van Jefferson is just
Van Jefferson's one of the better route runners
the route
in
running.
college.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's such a route runner. It's amazing how good he is.
And then they took what's his name from Alabama, the kid who ended
Terrell
Terrell
Lewis.
Lewis.
Terrell Lewis.
who ended what's his name, DeAndre Francois' career a couple of years ago.
Oh, and then he ended his own career after that.
He had some injuries, but he's a guy
Oh,
that was a
his mouth.
5-star, highly regarded guy that could easily turn into a
They got the
fucking
good
stud.
safety from Utah too.
Yep. Terrell Burgess. Yep.
Burgess, yeah.
And Jordan
Yeah.
Fuller.
Yeah, Jordan Fuller's another one.
Good
They had a
team.
great draft, and they're getting rated as a C, so it's tough.
Well, because
man.
they didn't really. I don't think they kind of.
They didn't have a
They did
first
not
draft pick.
go after any linemen. That's defensive or offensive.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they
They
lost.
got a pretty good offense. They got a pretty good defensive line already.
Yeah, but they lost the Gator went to Atlanta.
Yeah, they lost Fowler. Yeah.
Dante Fowler, yeah.
They did lose Littleton in the middle.
Littleton's gone. Where is he at now?
He went to did he go to Green Bay?
Oh, did
No.
he?
Who went to Green Bay?
Oh,
First
he went
they
to Green Bay.
Bay.
That's just another fuck you to that management.
I'll tell you where Corey Littleton went. And Corey Littleton was a good player too.
He's a very good player.
Oh, he went to Las Vegas.
Okay,
That'll be a
Wow.
perfect fit for him too, because their
Wow.
linebacker core was horrible last year.
that team drafted 90 receivers in the draft.
I don't understand what Mayock's doing. I really
They
don't.
did the exact opposite of what the Green Bay Packers
He
did.
could prove us all wrong. I mean, I thought maybe that was the case last year. Farrell ended up sucking fat ass.
Yeah.
Jacobs' pick was nice.
I think he's whiffed so far outside of. I like Arnett for them. I think that's a good pick. You have to play defense in that division. Everyone's chasing offense. Like
Which
you
team-
gotta stop the offense, don't you?
Yeah, and
Stop
there's
Chiefs.
no one in that division has a good defense.
Denver historically does what you expect them to have.
No, they got rid of Chris Harris. He's now on the Chargers.
And the if you take LA, I mean they have two of the probably best players under 25 in the league. You got
Chargers?
Bosa and Derwin James out there. That's a good good
So
start.
the Chargers secondary is unbelievable.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like they can come.
They got 5 Pro Bowlers on that
I
secondary.
think Justin Herbert's a huge whiff for them at 6.
Oh, God.
Well, let's just wait on the Herbert.
I
game.
don't
I don't
hate
like
him.
him.
I don't see it.
I told you
Oh,
guys
but
I don't hate him. I told you guys I don't hate him.
I
But
tell you what, he's got a couple of receivers that could make him look a lot better than he really
and a
is.
tight end that can make him look really good.
Yeah. And now Mike Williams has a guy that could actually get him the deep ball when he's running 50 yards down the field.
Yeah.
So Mike Williams with that catch radius can make a lot of quarterbacks look good with those 60-yard plays out of nowhere.
How do you feel about
dude.
how do you feel about their backfield now?
Backfield to me is a lot about what you have blocking up front. I think now in the NFL there are a lot of really good running backs. There's very few teams that don't have a good running back.
But you let Melvin Gordon walk away over principle rather than just paying him.
Oh, yeah, and he went to Denver.
I don't know. if
Your
that's-
division,
man.
he's gonna poop in your face twice a year.
Dude, but that offense, like if Drew Lock can become something, that offense.
I like Melvin Gordon. He doesn't wow me though.
Who, Lock? I like Lock a lot.
No.
No,
More than I
Gordon.
like
I
Herbert.
think Melvin Gordon.
Gordon.
runs really hard.
Oh, Gordon.
I think
No,
Gordon
I think
doesn't
he's-
wow me.
He's not worth the money that he was looking for.
No, I think that was a good move by them to let him walk.
I would,
Oh, yeah.
I would have kept him on a 1-year deal.
He didn't want to stay. No one wants to stay Chargers. They have the worst management. Everyone hates that
Yeah,
management.
but they're about to get a new stadium, man. Like you need to let that shit.
Yeah, but still no one's going to go to those games.
Yeah, they can't get a
Chargers fan base there is no fan base.
That was the
Well,
biggest.
they should have never.
that was the
left
biggest
him
laugh
there.
of the draft is that they couldn't.
The video.
They couldn't fill up the 9 screens that Goodell had behind him.
Well, no, it's perfect for them that there's going to be no fans allowed in the stadium.
Right.
It's true. It's going to be helpful.
It's an
That'd be
upgrade in
helpful.
attendance for them.
It'll be.
That's a home game for whatever team plays them.
Yeah, it's been that way.
Every time. Every single game.
Remember they playing last year in Carson, and they still couldn't get anybody.
Yeah. They played at that big soccer,
Yeah,
that
where
small
the
soccer
Galaxy
stadium.
plays.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll watch a Galaxy game, then watch a Chargers game, and be like, oh, there are fans that live there.
Oh, and we forget they went and got Brian Beluga in the offseason too.
Yeah, the Chargers could be a good team.
I mean, I wouldn't sleep on the Chargers, man. I understand that.
Oh, no, I like the
Taylor-
Chargers a lot. I like the
Tyrod
talent.
Taylor is a little bit of a liability. I wouldn't say a liability, but he's never going to go out and win you games. He might not lose you a game, but he ain't going to go and win you one.
No, that's why he just needs to be a manager and let that team rule.
Yeah, I agree. And
Who's
then,
their running back?
well, they have Austin Eckler still.
Oh, Eckler. Eckler was on one.
Eckler was unbelievable
Yeah,
last year.
but you-
That's my point. My point is a guy like Austin Eckler historically is not a great running back, and
No,
all of a sudden the guy
Beneficial with a guy standing next to him.
He was doing that without
Gordon.
Gordon.
Carries.
I think a lot of that was their offensive line played well last year at times.
Yeah. Yeah, that offensive line was playing great.
So look, I think I
And that
hate to
defense is
say
going to be
this.
so much better next year.
There's no LT
They're okay
outside of
with it.
Saquon Barkley. There's no LT. There's no Adrian Peterson in his
Oh,
prime.
there's like a handful. There's maybe
There's no
3
Barry
or 4.
Sanders in the league right now.
Yeah.
Outside of Saquon Barkley, Christian
Zeke.
McCaffrey's a great player. He's not a
McCaffrey.
fucking premier running back.
Well, you got Zeke, McCaffrey, Saquon.
I think Saquon's
Gurley
better
was
than
in
both
that
of those
list. I
guys
don't know anymore.
by a lot.
Yeah.
Saquon's the only guy that you can hand him the ball and let him carry your team. Zeke
Yeah.
doesn't carry that team. Their offensive
because
line
that
carries
last-
that team.
Yeah. Well, last year's offense, they didn't even try to run the ball.
Right, but that offensive line carries that team. Saquon Barkley carries that Giants team.
The Chargers, I think I just looked up the Chargers offensive line. Do you realize how good it is?
Yeah.
I had a feeling.
They got Pouncey up the middle.
Trent
They have
Scott,
Trey Turner, who's a Pro Bowl guard.
Yeah, they got Trey Turner and Brian Beluga. They added
Yeah.
to the offensive line. With
No, he just needs to be a game manager, Herbert. And that team
And they have the guy that has the greatest name in all of football as a backup, Forrest Lamp.
Forrest Lamp. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Oh, yeah, Lamp. That was my brother's go-to guy in the draft last year when he was talking about it.
Forrest Lamp.
Yeah, I love Lamp. I love
I
Lamp.
love Lamp.
I love Lamp. That was my brother's go-to. I
That
love Lamp.
works. That works.
Who do you want
And
to
this
draft? I love Lamp.
defense is fucking loaded. We talked about it earlier. Casey Hayward's ridiculous. Chris Harris is fucking stupid good. Derwin James is ridiculous. Nasir Adderley is a guy that nobody talks about. That's really
They
good.
got Bosa. They got Melvin Ingram up front.
Melvin Ingram's a stud. Linval Joseph up the middle from Minnesota is a fucking stud.
They're
Formerly
about to
from the
cut-
Giants.
they're
They
about-
and they just took Kenneth Murray, who I think is going to be one of the better middle linebackers in this draft, if not the best
I
middle
don't-
linebacker in this
I don't
draft.
like
Only because I
defense.
don't think Isaiah Simmons will play middle linebacker.
I hate defense from the Big 12, though. Just hate it.
Kenneth
don't play
Murray was the real deal.
He's a good player. If he went to Oklahoma, he's a good player. Whatever. That's fine.
All I'm saying is that defense is legit, and it's. I mean, those guys are nasty.
That division's going to be fun, I think, this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's going to be the best division in football.
NFC,
That and the NFC South.
West, but then the AFC.
Oh, yeah, NFC West.
I think the NFC West got even better too. Arizona's going to be at least a 500 team. I think.
I think
St. Louis-
Arizona's going to be a team to watch next year. The way
I
they
think
built that
every
offense
team-
up.
I think every team could go 500.
Well, I was just talking about this the other day. With the new rules that 7 teams get in the playoffs, you could have a
3.
division that gets every single one of their members in the
And
playoffs.
that division gets everybody in the playoffs.
Yeah,
It could be them.
because you have 3 wildcard teams now.
Wow.
I actually think the
Isn't that
Rams.
crazy?
I think the Rams end up
Crazy.
in last place in that division.
With an 8-win season.
Yeah.
Have the Rams missed the playoffs?
Yeah, with
Yeah.
8 wins, I think they missed the
Yeah.
playoffs.
I think they missed the playoffs.
I think Seattle's going for sure, and San Francisco.
What
And
team-
Niners, Seattle, and Arizona.
maybe Arizona gets in. Yeah.
What team that was ridiculously underperformed last year you think could turn it around and make the playoffs this year?
That's tough. You
And
have-
my first thought is the Bears.
Colts.
I think the
I don't think the Colts underperformed though.
I would say
They were picked to go to like the AFC Championship game. They didn't
The
make the
Colts?
Yeah,
That was before they
They
lost
thought they had
Andrew
luck.
Luck.
yeah. Well, I'm saying that team was built to go to the playoffs.
Well, but I mean, you can't fault them for losing their quarterback 3 months before the season started.
I think it was less than that.
I think
Fix your head microphone.
I think it was less than that.
It might have been, but either way, you can't say that they underperformed with the talent they had on that team. I think they.
Well, what other
performed
team?
well.
What other team?
I like
I
Cleveland.
said the Bears.
I like
Cleveland?
Yeah, I think Cleveland.
That's a Cleveland is a good one too.
I think Cleveland getting Wills or Willis, whatever his name is, Wills, and Adam Delpit is big.
I still need to see Baker.
Yeah, I think he just needs to understand. Like, have you watched his Instagram? Do you follow him on Instagram?
Not at
No,
all.
I just watched him in
He
the
seems
commercial.
like he's less big head and he's more like he's fucking getting it together.
I need to see it on the field
I know. I just feel like if he gets his ego out of the way a little bit and realizes
because that was my thought process towards Jameis every year. I was like, oh, he's finally getting it together,
yeah.
and then
Well,
Well,
fucking
he got it
30
together. He was getting paid by the other team. You didn't realize that to throw him the
Yeah.
ball.
they should. They put on.
He
They
was
put
trying out
on,
for later on in his career.
put on Sports Center this morning that Jameis Winston has more completions to the
10-7. 10-7.
Yeah, it's. I mean, come on.
is there a better QB room in the NFL than that room right there?
No,
I tell you what, there's not a higher paid one.
That's true. You got Taysom Hill, you got Jameis, and you got Drew Brees.
I don't think.
Well, look, the Jameis
Taysom
deal is
Hill's
what,
a
a
good
1 year deal?
quarterback.
It's a 1 year
1
1
deal.
year.
Weapon.
Taysom's a 2-year deal.
Yeah, Taysom's
Which
staying with them.
basically you
Jameis
can
is
get
going
out of
somewhere
after
else.
1 year.
Yeah.
And Drew Brees has got,
Jameis-
what, 2 years left on his deal?
1.
No, one.
1 year.
Drew's only got 1?
Yeah, I think Jameis is there for 1 year and he gets a starting job somewhere else. And I think Taysom Hill is going to try to be their quarterback, but I don't think that that's going to work.
He's
I
gonna.
think
They're gonna have to
their
have some more
idea-
packages for him to throw the ball.
Yeah. Did you see the numbers though? How many packages they ran with 2 quarterbacks on the field?
Yeah, a lot.
They ran 206 plays. The whole NFL ran less than 10 combined.
Oh, they have Taysom in the game just for no reason sometimes.
So I feel like that's what
He played tight end a little bit.
this is my next point. This is what I feel like the Eagles are trying to do with Jalen Hurts. I feel like they're trying to get Jalen Hurts on the field by drafting him.
I don't hate that pick. I think they could have done more to put
I
some
hate
stuff
that
around
pick.
You
Wentz.
have to get a safety net around that guy because he's an
They
injury
also
dog.
needed a wide receiver, but they did better at the end of the draft.
He's an injury dog, man. You have to get him a safety net.
Yeah, but do you think Jalen Hurts is gonna all of a
What
sudden
else were
pick
you
them
gonna
up.
do? You weren't gonna use a first-round pick. You're not Green Bay. You're not fucking.
No, but if you're going to get a backup for him, get a fucking backup that's been in the league.
Or you go get Fromm later in the
They could have
draft.
gotten a Jameis. Don't,
Yeah, but
don't
you
give me
don't-
Fromm.
Why? He's a perfect backup quarterback.
He's.
He's a perfect backup quarterback.
I don't trust him going into the game
I
to win
think
me. a
Jalen
game.
Hurts' ability to run the ball and not turn the ball over, which he's shown his entire career so far, is.
I think
exactly
Jameis just needs a new environment, a new
Josh,
atmosphere.
name me 5 backup quarterbacks that you trust going into the game.
Fitzpatrick,
He's not a backup. He's starting.
he will be. All right, then Tua.
No, I don't trust Tua going into the game over fucking Fromm. Or
I
either
do.
one of those.
I absolutely trust Tua.
Right
over Fromm.
now, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
Fromm is
I'll
better.
take Tua last week better than Fromm.
What I'm saying is right now I think Fromm is better served to just get you by. He's never going to wow you, but he's not going to go out there and
Yeah,
make
he's
a
not
mistake.
going to turn the ball over. It's just.
That's my point is you're
Who,
not going to
Fromm?
get much out of a
He's
backup.
not going to turn the ball over.
He will throw the ball. He will turn the
I
ball.
take Fromm over Trubisky, who's the backup in
I
Chicago
take
now.
Trubisky. I take Trubisky.
Well, that's sad because
take
you
Trubisky.
see what that happened there.
I know, but I've seen Trubisky actually throw the ball and get it completed.
Jacoby
point I'm trying to
Brissett-
make is-
Jacoby Brissett is the best backup in the NFL.
Fair enough.
There's another one.
Okay,
That-
but that's one.
One.
No. We've already named like 2 or 3.
Nick,
No, we didn't.
Nick Foles and
yeah.
or Nick Foles and or
Nick Foles, Trubisky, whichever one you think is the
whichever
best.
one you take.
If Trubisky is starting, then Nick Foles just must have banged the coach's wife or something.
Then I'll take whoever is the backup of those two. I'll take
Everyone
that guy.
playing
over
the
Fromm.
coach's wife.
I'll take. Who was just came out of the TV to go play third string quarterback at like the Jets,
Oh, McCown.
or was it Minnesota? Yeah, McCown. Take McCown over Fromm any day.
Eh,
I mean, there's no difference between those guys in my mind.
Oh, there's a huge difference. When I
Football's
believe and when I
gonna
don't.
Throw you 7 touchdowns in 20 games, and Fromm's gonna throw 6. Like, come on.
He's not throwing
I
6.
kind of sneaky
Where are
like
you
that.
getting this?
What was that dude that played for
What
Detroit?
tape have you seen to
What was
say
the guy that
Fromm's a
played for
fucking
Detroit
quarterback?
last year when Stafford was hurt?
Bro, the tape that shows him beating you guys 3
Tape
years
don't show
in a
nothing.
row.
I'll take Dan
like a
Orlovsky.
fucking redheaded
Fromm.
stepchild.
I'll take Dan Orlovsky over Fromm.
I love Dan Orlovsky.
Shows you losing to Fromm a bunch of times with the tape.
Oh.
Not losing to Fromm.
Yeah, you
See,
lost. to
here's the
Fromm.
problem when you throw a
Fromm's so
Georgia
trash.
Bulldog out when you're talking to a Gator fan.
I'll
He
take
just gets
fucking.
fucking angry and bitter.
I'll take Ken Dorsey over Fromm.
Yeah, that worked out
They're
well
the
for
same
Browns.
player.
That
They're
brings
the
me
same
to-
player.
That brings me to a point. AJ McCarron is a better backup.
I'll take AJ McCarron over Fromm.
Maybe his wife's hotter. That's about it.
Yeah,
We're not talking about
Alabama.
wives. We're talking about the players.
Well, when you talk about the player, you got to talk about the wife too.
If we're talking about wives, okay, I'll take Tannehill over Fromm.
Beautiful, bang, but he's a starter.
What about Mariota?
No,
I don't know
Mariota
who
is
his girlfriend
horrible.
is.
And we don't even know if he's married or not.
But I'll definitely take Mariota.
He doesn't count.
Definitely take Mariota over Fromm. Name a guy, I'll take him. There's,
I know, well,
if you
that's
can name
obviously
somebody I
what's
won't
going
take
on.
over Fromm, that's an accomplishment.
Sage Rosenfels.
Josh Rosen.
I'll take Sage. So I have a funny story about Sage, but I can't say it on.
Supposedly Sage was like a great teammate, like a cool ass guy to be honest.
No, all the guys loved him. All
Oh
the guys
yeah,
loved
he was like a huge team
He
base.
was hilarious.
Team
You know,
fan.
he was a funny ass guy.
Who did he play for? The Dolphins, for the Redskins, for.
The Houston Texans for a
Houston
while. He started
Texans.
there for a
The
while.
Vikings.
But I mean, that guy played for what,
Vikings.
7 teams? He's like Fitzpatrick Jr.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I fucking love Fitzpatrick.
I love Fitzpatrick.
It's hard not to like that guy.
I watched a YouTube video of him putting on Djax's clothes the other day.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's the greatest. The greatest. The best is his facial expression when he sees
He
Djax.
just came out and owned that shit too. He was like, "Yeah, what's up? What the fuck do you want from me?"
Djax is shirtless, walks into the room, is like, dude. And Fitzpatrick's like, oh, hey, we got to wrap this up. 2 more questions. I got to get Djax his clothes. It's like, sorry, Deshaun, sorry.
Oh,
And that guy
Deshaun was
was-
probably dying too. He
That
probably
guy
thought
went
it
to
was hilarious.
Harvard.
Oh, man. Yeah.
That guy went to Harvard.
All right, so let's talk about the Dolphins because obviously they're the most compelling team in the NFL.
Yeah,
right
they
now.
had a 3 million picks.
Is Tua gonna start by the end of the year, assuming we have a football season?
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't
If
think
he's
they'll
healthy,
redshirt him the whole
absolutely.
year?
No, I think he
No.
sits maybe 3 games.
He sits.
You think he sits the whole year, or are you saying he plays?
I think
He
he'll
sits.
get into the game at the end of the year. Like it'll be like Eli with Kurt Warner.
Okay, so he'll get in. What was it? The final couple
Like
of
week
games. Of the
7,
year?
week 8.
Was it that early that he got in?
It was like mid-season,
He's playing.
if not later.
He's gonna start.
Maybe
more,
week 11. I think it was week
I'm
11.
all for redshirting him. Basically,
He's gonna start more games than Fitzpatrick.
I'm all for Patrick Mahomesing him.
Let him start the last game of the season and then
No,
start him again
Mahomes
next
didn't
year.
play at all.
He
Oh,
played the
did,
last
you're
game
right.
of the
Last
season.
game against
Came
Green
in
Bay, I think.
and
it
he had
was,
like
right?
5 touchdowns.
Right. I
He
remember
was
that.
amazing.
And everyone's like, that's bullshit. That's not gonna happen next
Last
year.
game,
50
they didn't have any
TDs.
skill guys in there.
That motherfucker was ridiculous. So, me personally, you have Fitzpatrick. You're probably not doing much of anything this year. Maybe you win 7 games at a good year.
Oh, man, I think the Dolphins have done such a great job the last 2 years.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, like
But
I
it
did
takes a
not see
little bit
that.
to get talent, to get players that have never played together all to play together. We just
Yeah.
turned over 45% of our lineup.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. I know this is the NFL, but 45% of your team is a lot of players that turn over. in one
No,
year.
but these are all guys that Flores is getting to believe in the system,
Agree 100%.
and then they can go forward from. As long as that offensive line is rebuilt, which they drafted a bunch of guys to get in there, and
Yeah.
they picked up a bunch of guys in free agency to get in there, so they can build something throughout those guys, and then they have who's their running back?
They just traded for Brietta. They traded a
Oh yeah,
fifth
they got
rounder.
Jordan Howard and Breida. Okay,
Yeah,
so you got
that's a
veterans
good
going
combo,
by.
guys.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great.
And you know what's crazy about both those guys? One of them won a Super Bowl, and one of them was just in a Super Bowl.
Yes.
That's what somebody else mentioned too. Van Noy, Super Bowl winner. Ted Karras, center, Super Bowl winner. Brieda, Super Bowl participant.
Jordan Howard won a Super Bowl.
With the Eagles.
He was on the team.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was he on the team?
I don't think he was on that team.
He might have been with the Bears. I don't know.
No, that was Jay Ajayi was on that team.
Did I get that wrong? Maybe I did.
Yeah, Jordan was still in the Bears. I think last year was his first year with the Eagles.
Was it? Maybe it was. Maybe it was.
They had like 3 or 4 running backs on that team. But I think Jay Ajayi got on there midseason.
Yeah, he's never won a Super Bowl.
Never won a Super Bowl, so maybe I'm thinking of Brieda in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Last year, yeah. And he was
Uh,
the end of the game. Him and the other running back embraced each other. They were both on the Dolphins, like, and they both got cut.
Damian Williams.
Yeah, Damian Williams and Breida in the in the tunnel.
Breida was on the Dolphins?
Was he, or is it the other guy that they had?
I don't
Niners had a guy that was on the Dolphins, like he got cut, like a couple years back.
Oh, he was on their practice squad. I know who you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
Robert Morris.
No, there was 3
There's a
guys.
guy that's gotten into. He gets into the game. He plays in the game because
It
they
was
played like 4
Mozart.
running
It
backs.
was Mozart, wasn't it?
Mozart, that's it. Yes,
Yes.
Mozart.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Mozart. Raheem.
Him and Damian Williams were like roommates when they played for the Dolphins.
Yeah, he played in Miami in 2015. Yep. Yeah, no, but they brought in guys that have won before.
Yeah.
And that's
Leadership.
huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. You can't discount that.
No, they got to teach the young kids how to be professionals and how to.
Yeah.
And Flores has that Patriot system, so it's like you got to be in it. Your head's got to
Yeah.
be in the team, in the game.
Yeah.
There can't be any distractions. That's why I hope the Giants are doing the same thing with Judge, because the way Flores is building this Dolphins team, I hope that's how the Giants are going to be doing
How
the
do you
same.
feel about your draft?
The Giants.
Yeah.
I love this draft being like kind of one of those boring drafts where they take big hog mollies, and they didn't really go for like those. Like I would have wanted an Isaiah Simmons, but the fact that we got a left tackle that we don't have to worry about now with our line, that's what we needed.
You drafted 2 offensive players, and they were both linemen.
Yeah, Matt Peart and Andrew Thomas, and then the
And
rest
Andrew
of the time.
Thomas is a plug and play from day one guy.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe
he'll be
the only
the
one.
starting left tackle game 1, and
Yeah.
they're going to move Soldier over to the right,
Yeah.
and McKinney And
I think you should have went, and I also believe the
pick.
Dolphins should have as well. But I think both of those guys, both of you should have went with Ben Barch, kid from smaller school,
Oh yeah.
Rhode Islanders. I forgot what it was.
And I like the Shane Lemieux pick in the
Okay.
5th round. The kid from Oregon.
Linebacker from a little undersized, no, from Oregon.
The offensive guard.
He's a guard.
He's a guard.
Yeah, you guys took.
Oh, you're right.
6'4",
I was
310.
thinking of the kid from Penn State that you took, the linebacker.
guys-
that you
Oh,
took.
Cam Brown.
You guys
Yeah.
did a bunch of linebackers to end the draft.
So many linebackers at the end of that draft.
But look at the schools they went to.
You don't have linebackers.
Minnesota, Penn State,
Penn
Georgia,
State, South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Hey,
And they're all captains. They were all captains of the team.
Georgia's been a factory of linebackers over the last
TJ Brunson's
7-8
a good
years.
player. TJ Brunson's a good player. I think in the 7th
Captain
round.
in South Carolina. Tate Crowder, Mr. Irrelevant. He was a captain at Georgia.
Yeah, I love it's Jay Crowder's
Cam
brother.
Brown. He was a captain at Penn State.
It's Jay Crowder's dumb brother, right? I told you.
His cousin.
Tay Crowder.
It was the cousin. That's what you said. That was the funniest one you said.
Hey, I did them all in like 1 minute. All right, give me a break.
No, man, your work's your work. You gotta do
Your
that till
work,
Friday.
your work.
Your work's your work.
You go with what you go with. Word.
But I mean, a lot of linebackers, a lot of corners. Didn't draft a receiver, but we got some undrafted receivers that hopefully can make the team. The 2 kids from Ohio State, Benjamin
Receiver-
Victor.
Receiver class next year is supposed to be loaded as well.
I don't know how any receiving class could be more loaded than this one.
They're
There was
saying
like 40 guys.
this may be next year may be as loaded a receiver
You
class.
got Ross. You got both kids from Alabama. That's 3 heavy hitters right there at the top.
You got you said Justin Ross as well,
Justin
Yeah.
Ross,
Jamar Chase.
Yeah,
Jamar Chase.
Yeah, you got a solid.
4 right there. 4 monsters right there.
Oh, they got Georgia's got the 2 kids. They're the Robertson and
What's his name?
Pickett's
George
going to be a
Pickens.
sophomore.
Pickett,
so he
yeah.
can't come out yet. He's only a
I
sophomore.
think it's got 1 more year. Yeah,
Pickett's only going to be a sophomore, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That kid's surefire top 10 if he doesn't get hurt.
USC has got some speedsters.
Yeah.
But yeah, you talked about Jamar Chase, Justin Ross is going to be a fucking
There'll
stud.
be somebody that emerges from like a Baylor or a Missouri or someone like that.
All the time.
It's like,
All the
okay,
time.
Yeah. They're finally
Oh,
going
you have that kid that I don't know if you've ever watched him play, that kid Rondell Moore from Purdue.
Yeah, I know who he is.
Oh,
yeah,
that kid's an
yeah.
animal.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, he's not a big guy, but he's a
No. He's the
stud.
guy who just catches a ton of passes.
Yep. Seth
Virginia's got a
Williams
kid,
from
too.
Auburn's another one.
Yeah, Seth Williams.
Their number 1 receiver.
Seth Williams. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah,
too.
from Auburn. Yeah, okay.
And then you're right, the kid from USC, Amron St. Brown, too.
Yeah, they got some speedsters on that team.
Yeah.
I remember that from DraftKings. I picked a lot of USC guys in those late games.
Who fell the furthest in the draft that you were surprised fell?
I mean, I know this is a homer pick, but what's his name from Boise State?
Oh, Ezra Cleveland,
No, Weaver. The
Sonny
leading
Weaver Jr.
the fuck's the guy's name? Weaver Littleton? No.
So great.
Curtis Weaver. They talked about him as a 2nd round pick. He dropped to 164 to us in the 5th round.
Oh, I mean, we're going to go to 2nd round. I think McKinney should have been the top 15 pick.
Well, I'm saying he got picked in the 5th round.
Supposed to go in the 2nd round, and he went in the 5th round.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a pretty.
I actually saw him in some of these mock drafts in the 1st round a couple of months ago. Then he did shitty at the combine, and he dropped.
Roche went in the 6th round.
Prosh is another one.
That
He's
kid
an
is-
undersized guy. I thought he was going to go in the 4th round, 3rd or 4th.
6th round. That kid can fly, man.
I think Josh Jones to me is the one though of all the biggest one. That guy was talked about going at 18. He went at 72.
If Anthony Jennings didn't hurt his knee, he would have not gone in the 3rd fucking round to New England. He would have been a 1st round pick too. There's
The
just
fucking squirrels are attacking.
get him.
Fucking squirrels, man. They're always out there banging.
Get
You got squirrels, man.
So
I
what
got-
do you
we-
think,
we got
Derek?
worms.
You think the Bucks are ready to take that next step and win it all this year, or what?
I don't think we can win. I mean, I can't say we couldn't win a Super Bowl. We have Tom Brady. I'd be stupid if I didn't think that we had a chance.
You
But-
also have one of the better offensive minds in the game too, and Bruce
yeah,
Arians.
I mean the weapons are there too. This is the best team offensively that Brady's probably ever had.
No. No risk it, no biscuit.
Yeah, I mean I just don't want to see him throw the ball 35, 40 times a game. I don't want to see that. But that's probably what
Well,
we're gonna do.
that's the offense.
I know that's the problem. That's the part of it that it doesn't match up from a player perspective.
That's probably something he's been wanting to do, though.
Yeah, if they're short passes, I'm fine with it. Get
Let
a
me
run.
ask you a question: are you guys going to sign Devontae Freeman?
I think we're gonna sign Antonio Brown.
I don't know that you need Antonio Brown.
I know we don't need Antonio Brown, but I still think we're gonna sign Antonio Brown.
I think you have a bigger need at running back.
No, we definitely have a bigger need at running back. We don't have a real number one running back, which is why we should have taken Zach Moss. And it
That
was
Keyshawn Vaughn guy is nice and all, but he's
no,
small.
he's not a fucking starting running back in the NFL. He's not at all. He's the guy. He can pass protect a little bit, and he can take a catch and go to the house with it. But he's not like James White, where he could catch the ball and get you 8 yards and get down and be like smart about it. He thinks too much of himself.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
We didn't need that. I would have rather had Zach Moss run the ball 3 or
I
4
agree.
yards every time and get you a first down when you need it. That's whatever.
Yeah, you guys passed on a lot of running backs.
Yeah.
I don't think that was.
Well, but I mean, you passed
Yeah,
on
but we
running backs because you
we
needed a tackle. You had to take a tackle there.
You had to take Wirfs. That was a no-brainer. And
then Winfield, I think, was the
Winfield
right
fell
pick.
on your lap. Winfield was. I mean, we needed secondary help, and that guy should have been picked before he got picked.
Yeah,
So
a lot of mocks had him in the late teens, early 20s.
yeah, and he went to 45. I think we got him at.
45. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, there was no way. So now
So at the end of the day,
I'm
I
happy.
mean, I think
because our division's going to be competitive, so it's going to be tough.
very competitive.
I guess we'll see.
look, that defense is loaded. I think that defense was
Front
one of the better
seven is
defenses.
loaded. The front seven.
What?
The front seven is loaded.
Yeah,
You
that's
just
secondary
added a
is
guy in Winfield who's going to help shore up the
Our
back end of that
Our
defense.
corners are terrible.
Corners are terrible.
Carlton
That's what I
Davis,
thought. That's what I thought you guys were going to do in the draft.
Carlton Davis is really good. The kid from Auburn we got a couple years
Yeah.
ago. I really like him, but everybody else I'm not high on at
He
all.
was playing slot corner until last year, and then they moved him outside, right?
Outside when they cut Vernon Hargreaves, they moved him outside.
Well, that's so going back to the Dolphins draft, no homer and all, but a lot of people were criticizing that pick at number 30. But with the NFL these days, you need 3 good DBs.
I just think he's a true number 2, and you're gonna force him to play nickel.
Well, he played a lot of nickel in college, though.
I know.
He played inside a lot. So
I saw.
at the end of the day, yeah, could he be a boundary corner? Of course he could. He has the skill set to do it. I mean, he's got the speed. He's got
Got
the
the size
strength.
to do it. To be,
Yeah, and he's got the
boundary
size to do it. The guy's 5'11", so I don't know. I really like his talent. I like his ability, and he's a safety net, right? The only 2 guys the Dolphins have under contract right now for the next 5 years are Byron Jones, and outside of these first-round picks are Byron Jones and Xavier Howard.
And I feel
So
like
if one of those guys doesn't come to fruition or falls off in 3 years,
I feel like he was a safety net for Xavier Howard too, the pick.
yeah.
But
And the other thing is you can move Byron Jones back to safety.
Oh, he's playing nickel. That's a nickel corner for you guys.
no.
So-
I remember I was questioning my brother. I'm like, why do you guys take a corner in the first round like that? That's the third pick in the first round. And I was like, you just signed 2 of the most expensive corners in football. How do you do it? And he goes, nickel corner. I mean, that's one of the more important positions of football today.
75%
Is that
of the
nickel corner.
time.
Yeah.
75% of the time. That's how many times the Dolphins ran 3 DB sets
Yeah.
last year. 75.
That's a very important
You could say
position
he's a
in today's
nickel
football.
corner, but he's playing 75% of the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's
So
also
he's a starter.
he's
he's a
also
starter.
Yeah.
he's also good enough to line up outside. That's what I was getting at.
Yes, he's a man
Yeah.
corner as well. Yeah.
That's why I'm saying if Xavier Howard's knee is not everything that everybody thinks it's going to be right away, or there's a setback, at least you have him.
Or if one of those guys gets hurt, because then you move that guy outside and you still got Bobby McCain to throw in slot, who played well at slot last year.
Right. Which
Well, that's why the Giants have so many corners on the team. The reasoning for it was 2 or 3 of them have to hit.
Yeah.
And when that happens, then you have just a bunch of guys that depth, like in case of there's injuries.
Who are
And
you
2 or
still
3 of
going
them
to
have
start
to hit.
this year? DeAndre Baker and who else?
Baker, we got Bradbury, we just signed the free
Oh,
agency.
that's right. Bradbury came over.
Yeah, Bradbury's going to start. Then they're going to go through the
ringer.
Valentine, Beal.
The Dolphins
Mitchell.
ran through 10 DBs last year.
Baker.
Some of them turned out.
And we drafted 2.
It's probably
It's the new age NFL. Look at what the Patriots do. Why they're so good on defense every year the last couple of years. They've had one of the better
They're loaded
cornerback rooms in the NFL.
Yeah, they're loaded in the secondary.
So I think what you did, you went and got your quarterback that you had to do. I mean, let's hope that Tua turns into the guy we think he can be. Austin Jackson, people are saying, is drafted way too high. To me, it's like people have
Really wanted that option.
amnesia.
Yeah.
Last year, going into this year, he was a top 20 pick. Everybody and their mother said he was a top 20 pick. Guy goes and gives bone marrow to his sister. So he's basically like if you've ever read about what it's like for a donor to give up their bone marrow, it's almost like you're going through chemotherapy.
His procedure was the exact same procedure that my sister-in-law Ashley and her brother had to do.
Yeah.
They had to literally take I think it was a syringe or something, and stick his spinal from the spinal, the bone marrow.
Yeah.
And then that's how they did it. And the way they explained it, but that's the way they explained it in the draft. That's exactly what they had to do.
Yeah.
For my brother-in-law Charles.
He did that right before the season started. Never had the full energy.
That takes out of you. That takes everything out of you.
And the guy still had a great year. So it's like, to me, Austin Jackson's going to be, I think, is a Pro Bowl caliber. If you look at his traits,
I think it's a great pick.
A Pro Bowl caliber left tackle. And the great thing about it for the Dolphins, it doesn't matter if he's any good this year.
Perennial.
Remember that word, all right?
Always. I'll never forget perennial.
It doesn't matter if he's good this year because they're not going to compete for anything other than
You shouldn't be worried about this coming season at all.
Right. And they set themselves up perfectly, right? You go get the nasties, the big offensive linemen, the defensive
best
linemen.
player on the board.
Next year, you go get the flashy running back, the flashy receiver. You want to go get another linebacker or a flashy D-end, something like that. I still think they'll need a tackle next year because I still think this kid Hunt from Louisiana is going to end up being better served to move inside the guard.
Oh, he's a guard. That's a guard.
He's played tackle this last year. They think he has a chance to be a good tackle.
Oh, no. They're going to try to move. The Giants are going to try to move that Lemieux kid, the guard from Oregon.
Yeah.
They're going to try to move him to center.
Yeah. But that's easier, though. Moving, if you're inside, those 3 inside positions are a lot more interchangeable.
Right.
This kid Hunt played tackle his last 2 years in college. His first year he played guard, moved outside of tackle. I think long term though, he could be perennial at the guard spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He can't be annual. He can be perennial.
Not annual, perennial.
Are those annuals?
Yeah, perennials.
Yeah.
Perennials.
The annals of history.
The anals of it.
Yeah.
When you like that.
It's like a balloon knot.
Yeah. I'll say this. I was looking over a couple of the teams in the draft and seeing if I saw any late round picks that were going to be something. And I saw 2.
Shaq Quarterman.
One of them was the Jets, Shaq Quarterman. That was one of the ones I was thinking.
That shit was
What a pick.
Yeah.
What a pick. 6th round, 5th round. I mean, it's unbelievable.
But that's just a guy that's always there to make a play. He's always around the football every time you look.
Oh, yeah. That's a leader. That's the leader of the defense day one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was another one, the defensive end from Michigan State, Williams.
Oh, yeah. And that's a good pedigree to come from.
I liked him a lot. He was a 7th round pick. He was a late pick.
To me, the guy that stood out the most was
And
Prochet.
Bryce Hall, cornerback.
Was Prochet and the cornerback Joe Hall from Virginia.
I like
those were the 2.
KJ Hill from fucking Ohio State going almost
AJ
to
Hill.
the draft. 7th round, 220 to the Chargers.
Yeah.
He was still sitting there forever.
There was some talent late in this draft.
I'm telling you, every round had a receiver that's going to make an impact.
Yeah, that you were like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point.
That's why you say next year's receiving class. I can't believe that. That would be
They're
amazing.
saying it's supposed to be as loaded. You
2
also
years of 50 receivers.
Tamarion Terry from Florida State is a stud.
He's a scary Terry. He's going to bring his mask with him.
Terry, I Forgot about him.
I don't give a fuck what he brings with him.
The mask is in the book bag.
That kid,
Auburn's got a couple of guys. Rashad Bateman from Minnesota's coming out that we didn't talk about, who's a stud. DeMonte Coxey from Memphis is a stud. I don't know if you watched him at all this year.
I did. I was watching. They're very well coached.
Tariq Black from Michigan. See, now you're learning, Josh. You're learning. He's a perennial.
Who had the best draft? The University of Memphis had the best draft.
I mean, it's a no-brainer. That LSU fucking team, 13 draft picks. That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
Even their long snapper was picked
Yeah, we took him.
by you guys.
I love it. I love it.
Thaddeus
Everyone
Moss
was-
went way too late.
Yeah, unbelievable. But you know what, though? A lot of people see Moss as a inline blocking tight end in a
Yeah, he
deep
can block.
draft.
Yeah. But he can catch. And he showed that
He can
towards
catch,
the end
but
of the season.
it's one thing. He doesn't have the athleticism to necessarily be a dynamic tight end.
I don't think he was.
prospect.
I mean, he was in a situation where they had so much talent on the offensive side of the ball that not one person kind of stuck out. Like every time Chase, was it Chase? Jamar Chase. Every time Chase had like a huge game, the next week Justin Jefferson had a huge
That's what happened in the playoffs.
and the next week the running back had a huge
against Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And has 300 yards and 75 touchdowns in the first half.
And they had two other receivers that had big games.
And then the next week after that, Jamar Chase has 200 yards.
But that's what they were saying. The Rams beat writers were pissed off at the Van Jefferson pick because they were looking at his stats. He didn't have a lot of catches. It's because we had 6 receivers that had 20 catches or more. Like, you can't look at the stats. You got to look at the reason why.
Two different quarterbacks throughout the year. I mean, there was a lot of turnover.
Yeah.
Also, you were more defensive minded team too.
Due up. Oh man, you missed it.
What happened?
Aaron Boone due up first next inning.
Gosh, as long as it helps you sleep at night, that's all that matters.
Whatever you need.
Who sleeps? Who sleeps?
Are we gonna have a football season or what? Would you be
I hope so.
Let me ask you a question. Would you be okay if we just pushed it back to the spring as long as we could have the season?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be upset.
All right, folks, that's it. I'm sure you're sick of listening to us. We sound like a bunch of assholes, mainly Josh and
You
Derek.
assholes.
And on that note, we will talk to you guys later.
Wait, Derek, where's Mark?
He's below you. He belows you. Down there. Hey, Mark.
Okay, it's a little too much.
You want a third finger?
Bowling ball.